I had major headaches. I was just super tired. I was nauseous, and it was just a really bad day. I was in church, and it was to the point where I even had to lay down in church. And I think it was because I didn't eat. I didn't get a chance to eat before I went to church. So it was like, it was just a really bad day for me. And what's up, you guys? It's your girl Dominique, and I'm back with another video. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. Yeah, so today I'm pretty much going to be doing a pregnancy update video on my first trimester. So if you watched my last Q&A, or my last life update rather, I made an announcement about me being pregnant, and I also did a Q&A at the end of the video. And one of the questions that I got was about my symptoms. So I'm gonna take you guys along each trimester to give you the symptoms and the things that I've been going through. Okay, so the first trimester of pregnancy is up to 12 weeks. I'm just gonna go through that of pretty much everything that I've dealt with from when we first found out that I was pregnant, basically. So I found out I was pregnant in November, and of course I always have notes, guys, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. Also, I do have my apple juice with crushed ice. So if I need to take a break to like crunch on some ice, y'all, please, I beg. It's a pregnancy symptom. No, but anyways, so yeah, I took my first pregnancy test November 19th, and that was the day that I found out I was pregnant. And I really couldn't believe it, because some of you have been following my journey and have heard me talk about being diagnosed with PCOS. But at the age of 19, I was diagnosed with PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. And that basically just means that I get cysts on my ovaries, which can interrupt my reproductive abilities. It also causes like really bad periods. It's very common. A lot of women actually have this, and one of the things that it can cause is infertility. While I wasn't necessarily told that I would never have children, but I was told that I wouldn't be able to have children on my own, meaning that basically I would have to either go through in vitro to assist me, or I would have to be on like a hormone type of regimen, or potentially take fertility medication in order to assist me with having children. So yeah, that was at 19, and you know, this is my first child, so I've never been pregnant before. So this is pretty much like a miracle baby for me and my husband. You know, this was actually something that I discussed with him when we were recording, which I feel like I'm probably gonna do a video separate about my PCOS journey. But yeah, so that's that. So I did a pregnancy test, because basically what happened, y'all, I don't know if I explained this story or not, but you know what, maybe I should just do another video on how I found out I was pregnant. I might do that. Yeah, I took my first pregnancy test November 19th, and I was just like, wow, like I'm pregnant, like, yeah. So we ended up making a doctor's appointment. I was still in Lagos at the time, so I did end up going to the doctor in Lagos, which you will see on my life update video that I did. So you'll see my first doctor's appointment, where we did go in, we had an ultrasound, and at the time they were telling me that I was 5 weeks, but I'm pretty sure that I was 6 weeks. The doctor said, according to, because they go by the date of contraception or something like that. So I'm not really sure how they figure it out, or excuse me, they go by the date of your last period. That's what they do. They go by the date of your last period. So according to that, I was 6 weeks, but according to the ultrasound that we did at the first doctor's appointment, it was reading that I was 5 weeks. And so the ultrasound only picks up like the size of your, like, what is it called? I don't even know what it's called, but the sac, the sac that the baby is in at first, yeah, is what it is. So basically, they gave me a due date originally of July 27th when I was in Nigeria. So that was my due date at that time, according to the 5-week ultrasound reading. So during that week, the 6th week, which pretty much for my American followers would be the like Thanksgiving week, that week of Thanksgiving, I was 6 weeks. And that's when I really started to see the symptoms. Before, I wasn't really having too many symptoms or anything like that. I just kind of felt weird a little bit. But yeah, my symptoms started to appear after having the ultrasound. And I think also because I'm also the type of person that, I don't know what it's called. I don't know if it's called a hypochondriac or something like that, but it's like as soon as I see a thing, you know, it's like then I start to like feel it or whatever, if that makes sense. Like for instance, during my cycle, sometimes during my period, like sometimes I could be having, you know, I could not have cramps or anything like that, like before my period actually starts. But as soon as I see blood, it's like I just start feeling the pain of the period. So I don't know, but anyway, sorry. So my symptoms started appearing, like I said, that 6th week. The symptoms that I was having is just that I was like really hungry, like all the time. Like, I mean, so hungry that it was to the point where I would cry because I was so hungry. And like, because literally I could eat something like, and then 1 hour later I would be hungry again, and I literally would just eat. But I would be so hungry to the point where I would feel like I hadn't eaten in like I was fasting or something. Like I would feel like I was starving. Like that's how hungry I was, to where I would be having hunger pains and I would just have eaten. And it was just so stressful for me. I was craving American food like very heavily, and I think it was a bit my fault too, because at the time, for some reason on Instagram, that's all that I was looking at was food. And I know it was driving my husband crazy, like, oh bless him so much. But yeah, like I was just craving like burgers. Mind you, before that I hadn't been eating red meat. Like I literally just started eating red meat again since I became pregnant. But yeah, so I just was just hungry. I was craving American food. I wanted macaroni and cheese. I wanted hot wings. I wanted burgers. I just wanted like all of that stuff. But yeah, I started feeling nauseous. I wasn't actually throwing up just yet, but I was definitely feeling nauseous. I had diarrhea. Whenever I would brush my teeth, I would be gagging. So which I never do. Like if I brush my tongue or something, like I never really have that gagging effect. So yeah, I was feeling nauseous and everything, but I wasn't actually doing any vomiting just yet. So also during that time, I was still taking CBD, so I wasn't really feeling everything the way that maybe somebody else would have been feeling them, but I still could, you know, like if I woke up or something like that, I was nauseous, and then okay, maybe take a gummy or something like that, and then I wouldn't necessarily feel nauseous. I could eat. So yeah, one of these days I had a really bad day because I hadn't eaten. Like it was a Sunday, and I had major headaches. I was just super tired. I was nauseous, and it was just a really bad day. I was in church, and it was to the point where I even had to lay down in church. And I think it was because I didn't eat. I didn't get a chance to eat before I went to church. So it was just a really bad day for me. And after church, you know, when we went back home, I ended up sleeping for like another 5 hours, which I had gotten a full night's sleep anyway. So that was another thing. I was just sleeping a lot. Yeah, because I was just always tired, literally, like always tired. During my 7th week, which was the week before I left Nigeria, I still was feeling nauseous, still was having headache. By that time, I actually started, you know, with the vomiting and just having morning sickness. I just was always feeling tired. Like I could literally go to the corner store lady, you know, like not even on a different block or anything like that from my house, and I would just feel so tired coming back. I started feeling like really homesick at that point because I was really craving American foods, and I wasn't able to find them the way that I was wanting them per se. So at that time, me and my husband, we were like going to these different restaurants and trying different things. Like I was craving chicken wings one time, and we went to this one restaurant that actually had hot wings and burgers and stuff like that. And that day, I think they didn't have wings or something like that. And it was just so like, it was just so devastating. And I was like, it made me cry. Like literally, it made me cry. Like I was crying during these first couple weeks when I was having these cravings, and it was just like, oh, I really have to shout out my husband, because I know he just was so confused, didn't know what to do during that time. And yeah, so I continued having morning sickness and just cravings and all these things. And then by week 8, that was when I actually left to go to the US. I originally left that early because my niece was getting married, as you saw in my last vlog. That trip, y'all, oh my gosh, like that trip was so bad. Like I would not recommend anybody traveling during their first trimester. Like it was so hard for me. All I could do was literally sleep. I was vomiting everything. Like I could not hold anything down. Any type of food that they gave me, any type of drinks that they gave me, they were, you know, giving me ginger ale. You know, they were really comforting for me because I let them know that I was pregnant and everything. So they will accommodate you, but it's only but so much they can do. I just was feeling just really, really bad. It was horrible. Like it was just feeling so horrible. It was just so horrible. And most of that too is because I actually, you know, I couldn't take the CBD with me on the plane, so I didn't have anything that could help with the nausea. So everything was just that much worse for me. And before anybody wants to comment or anything about the things that I was using or doing to help me, it was to help me. And I'm not saying that you have to do it or anything like that, but please, this is a judgment-free zone, and I like to be transparent with you guys about everything. It's a part of my lifestyle at the end of the day, and I knew that I would need to stop using the CBD at some point, but during that time, that was the only thing that was helping me to, you know, helping with my nausea and my morning sickness and vomiting and all of these different things that I was going through, these hormones that were you know, that I was experiencing during this time. So yeah, if you want to judge your mama. But anyways, so yeah, by week 9, by that time it was in December. Okay, it was already in December from week 8, because I left Lagos December 8th, which was my niece's birthday. Week 9, I just was feeling very fatigued. I was very tired. I probably was sleeping maybe 12 to 15 hours a night, plus taking naps. So I literally probably slept like 20 hours a day. I was in the bed by like 5:30, 6 o'clock p.m. and I would stay asleep until the next day, maybe somewhere between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. just depending. And then I would still take a nap. So at that time I wasn't working, so it was literally just me focusing on my pregnancy. And also during that time, my skin started to become very itchy and very dry. Like my skin on my face and like on my tummy and everything, like I just was just itchy all the time. And like I said, my skin was just very dry. So not really sure what that came from, but yeah, that was one of the symptoms that I had. I still was craving a lot of foods that I didn't eat before. I was craving red meat still, like this time not just burgers but like full steak. I wanted like steak, all kind of stuff that I just didn't eat before. And I also had some food aversions at this time. I didn't have any, you know, in the first couple of weeks. I literally was just eating the same things that I would eat, but after a while I started feeling like, okay, I don't want these things are making me feel sick. So some of the food aversions that I was having was eggs. I could not eat eggs at all during my first trimester. It was just like, even the smell of eggs was like, ugh. I did not want it. Coffee, I could not drink coffee anymore. I had coffee one time before I left Lagos, and it was hot coffee, and it just made me feel so bad the day that I drank it. And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do this. If anybody knows me, they know that I have a sweet tooth. I love like cake and all of these different things, and y'all, was not eating sweet at all. Like candy, I didn't want no candy. I didn't want no cake. I didn't want anything like that, y'all. I didn't want nothing sweet. I didn't want chocolate, like none of that stuff. I didn't want any of that stuff. And even that day that I had went to church and was feeling bad, like, okay, so my church, or the church that we go to in Lagos, they have this thing at the end of the month where they have a cake where they celebrate all of the anniversaries and birthdays for the month. And that day, that particular day that we went to church that I was feeling bad, was actually the end of the month. So they had cake that day. So anytime they do this and they have cake, I'm always the one that is going back for like thirds and fourths of cake. And like, they know, like, Dom, you want cake? You want, like, you know, I'm gonna put some to the side for you. Like, I'm always that one, right? Y'all, I did not want no piece of cake that they had that day. Like, I was just like, yeah, nah, I'm good. I don't want any cake at all. So yeah, I was just, that was one of my food aversions. Chocolate, like I said, I was not into chocolate. And these are all foods that I was eating before I got pregnant. Butter, I could not use butter for some weird reason. I found this out after coming back to the US, because we weren't really using butter in Nigeria. We would just use oil. But yeah, like butter, garlic, like it just was not doing me good. And shrimp, y'all, I was evading shrimp because, yeah, it just, I don't know what it was. And y'all, shrimp is some of my like actual favorite seafood to eat, and no, I just could not do it. So yeah, it was horrible. So the next week was week 10, and during this week still had nausea and vomiting. By this time I had gone back to taking the CBD because I had access to it. So yeah, so I was still having the nausea and vomiting, but it wasn't as bad. Yeah, it wasn't as bad, because once I would start feeling the nauseousness and everything like that, that's when I would take the CBD. It wasn't like I was just taking it just because. But yeah, so week 10 I actually ended up getting COVID. Yeah, I actually ended up getting COVID, which was not fun during that time because I had a cold, I had a fever, and I just was, you know, extra tired from the sickness, and just, you know, I thank God that it wasn't one of those serious cases of COVID. But yeah, it was definitely one of those situations where it just had me down. Like I literally was in the bed like all day long. So at first, when I did find out that I had COVID, or excuse me, when I was dealing with those type of symptoms, the cold and the fever and stuff, my pregnancy symptoms seemed to subside. So I wasn't actually having pregnancy symptoms. But once I got over my cold and everything like that, I went back, like the pregnancy symptoms came back like full force, like that was it. So by week 11, I actually really stopped using CBD and stopped smoking marijuana during that week. That was when the symptoms became really bad for me. Like I was sick all the time, couldn't hold anything down at all. Like they call it something, hyper something, and I didn't necessarily get diagnosed with that, but I feel like now that, you know, looking back at my first trimester and how it went with my sickness and everything like that, I feel like that was what I was experiencing. I just was sick all the time. I could hardly do anything. I could hardly, you know, stay out of bed or get up to do anything, move around. I couldn't hold down water, like even a little bit of water. I was drinking ginger ale, I was chewing ice, but I would still be like throwing up like maybe an hour later after drinking or eating something. So it really became bad for me. And honestly, during that week I started really like complaining about the pregnancy and just was going through a lot of emotions of dealing with the symptoms. And because one thing, I hate being sick. I mean, no one likes being sick, but you know, throwing up is really bad for me because it's like when I'm throwing up, my body doesn't know when to stop. So it doesn't just stop once whatever is out is out. Like I will continue to throw up until I'm like throwing up the lining of my stomach, and that's just, you know, it's really bad for me. So yeah, I've just been complaining honestly, and you know, I kind of regret being in that space because like I said, this is a miracle thing for me. You know, God blessed me with this baby, and God blessed me to be able to carry this child, and I just was not excited about what I was going through. I was happy that I was pregnant, but I was just not excited about the things that I had to go through because it was one of those extreme cases where, like I said, I couldn't hold down anything, or you know, my symptoms were just really bad. So by week 12, which is that next week, I think that's when I had my first doctor's appointment in the US. So by that time, oh no, sorry, my first appointment wasn't until the next week, but week 12 was like my birthday week. So that was going into January. My birthday is January 7th, so that was going into my birthday week, like right after New Year's. And yeah, I still was, you know, having you know, trouble eating and just having trouble keeping everything down. So at that point, I think I made my appointment or something like that with the doctor at that point. So I was able to call the doctor and was able to talk to them about what I was going through during that time, because I was afraid that I wasn't giving my baby the correct amount of nutrients and things that it needed to grow. And I was afraid that I was like losing weight and just all of these different things that was going through my mind, like, oh my gosh, I'm doing all this throwing up and my baby is like like I can't feed my baby. The midwife that I had talked to suggesting that I take B6 vitamins. Y'all, these vitamins saved my life. Like literally after I started taking the vitamins, it helped with the nausea. I started to have an appetite again, and I could actually eat food. I still wasn't able to eat everything. The only thing that I was able to eat was like spaghetti. So I could only eat spaghetti for like a whole week. And that was the only thing that I could really like still keep down even after taking the vitamins. So I would still feel kind of nauseous, but I wasn't like throwing up, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's pretty much where I was at. You know, if it wasn't for the B6 vitamins, I probably would have been sick like my entire first trimester. Excuse me, my like entire like first and second trimester, because I was still taking them in the second trimester. But I'm gonna do a separate video for my second trimester update. So yeah, that was pretty much my first trimester. It was very hard for me. It was definitely a lot to go through. And also at that time, I didn't really want to make it public that I was pregnant. Me and my husband, we decided to wait for a little bit, so I didn't actually make the announcement until I believe I was in my second trimester. So I didn't actually make the announcement until after maybe I'm trying to think. I can't remember if I made it closer to the end of my first trimester. I think it was closer to the end of my first trimester, but I didn't like make it public like right away, so only a few people knew. I did make like one post on my Instagram, but I don't think a lot of people really knew what was happening or what was going on. So yeah, I just decided, well, me and my husband, we decided not to make it public right away, because even though I wanted to share a lot of my experience and everything like that with you guys, it was just a delicate situation. Like I said, this is our first pregnancy, our first child, and it was a miracle situation for me, you know. So I didn't want to put anything out there that would, you know, I don't know, but it's like sometimes when you see people put stuff out on social media and, you know, something happens to the baby, or, you know, they have complications or whatever, and I didn't want to experience that. So I decided to wait until later in my pregnancy to start sharing things about my pregnancy. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's what I experienced my first trimester. So a lot of people have been asking, so yeah, that was what it was like for me. And you know, my advice to anybody that is going through their first trimester, you know, if you're watching this, if you are experiencing any type of like nausea and vomiting, B6 vitamins are definitely helped me. Disclaimer, I am not a doctor or anything like that, so you should definitely check with your doctor or health practitioner before taking anything during your pregnancy. And while I do recommend it, you should definitely talk to whoever you're seeing during your pregnancy to find out what they recommend for you. So that's my disclaimer. But yeah, the B6 vitamins really helped me out. Like if I didn't start taking those, I just would have been so like down. Like even after I took them, I stopped having so much fatigue and everything like that too. So yeah, so that's it for my first trimester pregnancy update. You guys stay tuned for more updates. My second trimester pregnancy update will be next. Yeah, so thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to comment down below if you're going through any type of pregnancy, or if you have any questions. Definitely leave me a comment down below. Be sure to share and subscribe, and I love you guys so much. Peace and love.